What's up, folks? This is the McDowell Chronicles, and today have a very special guest today. One of our top YouTube subscribers and fellow YouTuber and fellow exposer of McDojos, Herman Branche, and he will be sharing his story, his McDojo story, with us. And it's a very intriguing story. It's very similar to the story that I have and other people have. And I would like for everybody that has a McDojo story to contact me so I can highlight it on this channel. Okay, because it's very important for the simple fact that we need people to hear these stories so they won't be duped into going into these martial art places that present you a watered down martial art just for the money. And this is very imperative for the serious martial art people who really want to learn it. We want to help you all out and everything. So without further ado, here is Herman Branche with his story. And before we get into his story, I want everybody to go to his YouTube channel, Herman Branche, and subscribe to him and watch some of his videos and give him support. All right. So here we go. His McDojang story.
All right, this is Herman Branche, and I would like to share my McDojo story. Well, so what brought me to my former McDojo, or in this case, McDojang? Well, I was trained a couple of months at the Ing Family Martial Arts Association that was headed by Sifu Sam and his son, Sifu Philip Bing, who was the actor of Bruce Lee in The Birth of the Dragon. And it was a pretty legit Kung Fu Kun. And the instructors over there, they had like they had different backgrounds in other martial arts. And these people, I was training in a style called Chole Foot, and the Chole Foot instructors, they were pretty nice people, and they knew their craft, and they were really patient with me. When I was learning the forms, some of the basic striking, and some of the footwork, and the school had a very nice atmosphere, and and as of right now, I can't find any other schools in my new area. So once I left Chicago, I was researching some of the schools that were close to my new neighborhood, and my McDojang was the closest one to my house. And it had a lot of 5-star ratings, on its Google and Yelp reviews. And I thought I was assured, this might be a very, very good school. And the instructors over there, they were from Korea, and they attended the prestigious Yongin University. So I set my sights, to my McDojang, and this was also my very first belt system school. So, and their school offered Taekwondo and Hapkido, and I was pretty excited. I wanted to learn Hapkido. I would like also to tell everybody what really got me into martial arts was the old show Fight Quest. It was a show that featured different martial arts from around the world, and in one of the episodes they featured Hapkido, and I thought it would be a really balanced martial art to start with. I could learn joint locking, I could learn throwing, I could learn kicks, punching. It was almost complete. All it was missing was the ground techniques. So off I went to my McDojang, and it would be a very terrible mistake, which cost me a lot of money. Okay, well, some of the features that made my McDojang were the countless black belts, which included a lot of kid black belts, different colored uniforms that had a lot of patches, a lot of stripes, stars everywhere. Kind of making them look like NASCAR suits, just kind of funny. And also they had these inside my McDojang, there were these two posters of the head instructors, the two head instructors. They had these giant posters, and I thought, that's pretty egotistical right there. And also, what made my McDojo and McDojang was the terrible, terrible sparring. There was also the classes were only 45 minutes long, and it was mostly spent on doing warm up exercises. There was little time to practice actual technique or form. And also, there was promotion test every 2 months. And also, the school was very, very expensive. They charge almost the same. They almost charge as if they were like top notch MMA school. But my McDojang was located at a strip mall next to a Starbucks and a hair cuttery. Wow, convenient. But what really got funny with the McDojang was their belt system, and they had pretty weird colors. One of them was the infamous camel belt. I thought it was like a little nice design at the time, and and there was also these weird colored belts. There was like four of them. These four belts, they had these weird colored stripes on them, and these four you're supposed to receive earn them before you actually become an actual black belt. And also, I later learned that the McDojang, like once you get your first degree black belt, you get this fancy red uniform that actually the pants actually had your name on it, and also at one side and at the other side, it had the name of the school. Yeah, it was pretty cheesy, but at the same time, it was convenient because I was able to learn the other students' names real fast. And all right, let me explain the belt system. In order to get your belt black belt, you have to go through 14 different colored belts before the camouflage belt was included, and you had to go through 4 deputy belt levels before you get your black belt, which was pretty ridiculous. I know that the host of McDojo Chronicles is saying, I think he had to get two deputy belt levels before getting his black belt at his McDojo. But at the McDojo I was 10, you had to go through 4. And once you get your first degree black belt, in order to become a second degree black belt, you have to take these black belt level tests, and they were much more expensive than the colored belt promotion tests. The black belt tests, they range over $100, and after you take the test and pass, you get these little stars that were put on the black collar. I mean, the black collar part of your uniform. Once you get 10, that's when you get your next degree. So basically, you're going to spend over $1,000 to get your next degree black belt. And at the time, I was thinking, man, whoa, man, this is really expensive. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Everybody's nice. The school's kind of decent. I know it's expensive, but I'll try to stick out to become a black belt. At the time, I was pretty dedicated. I was a dedicated student at my McDojang. I tried my best, to learn the content over there. And at first, it was pretty easy. Yeah, the Hapkido classes were easy at first, as I thought during that time. But I was being promoted real fast. And let me tell you guys this. When I first entered my McDojang, and I asked him how long does it take to become a black belt, and their answer was 2 years. And then my next question was, in 5 years, what would be my belt level? And they told me I would be a 3rd degree black belt if I spent with them 5 years. And at that time, I didn't know that if you get a black belt within 2 years or less, it was a total complete joke. So also my McDojang classes were only 45 minutes long, and we mostly spent doing stretching and doing kicking techniques, which burned up most of the time. And once it was 10 to 15 minutes before the end of class, that's when I was able to practice my Hapkido forms techniques and combinations. And the forms in Hapkido were really different to the forms of Taekwondo. The Hapkido forms, mostly consist of falling techniques. And at the time, I didn't really know the purpose of these falling techniques. And the Hapkido self-defense techniques, the joint locking, it became more complicated once I become orange belt. And I was training with an older gentleman who was a few belts higher than I was. And we were training each other's Hapkido techniques. But the funny thing was, I learned my techniques faster than he did. And when I asked him if he could help me with a certain technique, because he must have known it already since he's a few belt levels higher than I was, he doesn't remember them. And the most ironic part is I ended up helping remember his techniques than the other way around. And that was pretty... Yeah, that was pretty disappointing. And also, one time there was this other Hapkido student who was almost going to become a black belt, and I asked him one time if he could help me, with this technique that I'm having trouble with, and he doesn't. We were trying it out, and he didn't seem to remember the technique at all. So we had to wait until the head instructor came to me to remind both of us of the technique, and I was thinking, wow. This was wow, yeah, and I just as for the Hapkido techniques themselves, there were some techniques that I liked, but there were some that I didn't like, that I felt was too complicated, and there was also a funny thing is there were times that when my head instructor, when she tried to do some of the joint locking, she I was supposed to tap out, once she did a certain technique, but I didn't feel any pain. I think she tried to bend one of my wrists, and it didn't hurt at all. And she was saying to the other students that, oh, I have flexible wrists and such. And later on, I would learn that she doesn't even remember her own techniques. And yeah, it's like... my head instructor was supposed to be, she was like, a 6th degree black belt in Taekwondo and a 5th degree black belt in Hapkido. But let me tell you guys this: there was this this old man who was just a 2nd degree black belt. He was a much better Hapkido instructor, and I really like learning from him. When he did the Hapkido techniques, he did it much better than my head instructor. And he also explained it better. And he also did a drill, which was pressure testing the techniques that I was learning. In which, he'll take my wrist or he'll take my shoulder, and I'm supposed to respond to the way I was taught. He'll do it in different orders and tell me to do a different technique each time. And that was a pretty good drill, but unfortunately, I only did that one time. And that old man, that old 2nd degree black belt, he couldn't come to the school every so often, as I did. And that was pretty unfortunate. I was kind of felt disappointed. And I started to dislike my head instructor a bit, and she was seen as a nice person, most of the time at my McDojang, especially with the kids. But there was one time that me and the other gentleman that I was training, who was just a few belt levels above me, one time we asked her, if we could review, some techniques, and she really looked annoyed when we asked her that, and she gave a very angry expression that I will never forget. But she controlled herself and told us, "Oh yeah, another time." And I thought, wow, why is she annoyed? We're just asking if we could review some techniques, and I don't know, guys. It's like, yeah, that was like what, strike one. All right, strike two for my McDojang was like, when it was my first belt test, becoming a yellow belt. I was seeing, some of the sparring, that the students were doing to do in their tests, and let's just say, that the way they sparred, it looked really ugly. Their kicks were they were slow and terrible, and like I was thinking to myself, man, what kind of school did I got into? Maybe maybe I should get out. But unfortunately, I already paid a lot of money, so why not? Why not stay more? And I did. I tried to rationalize myself. Okay, maybe sparring, since they're color belts, so it's not easy. But the students were sparring with the instructors in their tests, and the instructors didn't. Well, they didn't look better than the students themselves. And I was thinking, okay, maybe the instructors were going easy on them. And this was the time, that I was getting my yellow belt. But once I received my orange belt, that's when I was able to spar for the first time. And I was pretty excited. I even bought the school's expensive, their expensive name brand equipment, which almost cost me like almost $300. And we were padded up, like I felt like a spaceman with all the equipment on. We had like the shin guards, the foot guards. We got the guards that goes on the forearm, and then finally we had the hogu, and then our helmet. I felt like a spaceman, wearing all this stuff. Also, I forgot the cup. I felt like a spaceman, the first time I put on this equipment, and I was pretty excited to spar finally. I was practicing all these kicking techniques, and let me tell you guys this: for the Hapkido students, they made the Hapkido students spar in Olympic Taekwondo rules. So at that time, I thought, okay, that was okay. At that time, I went to YouTube and I was looking for Hapkido sparring, and I saw this video that there was this type of Hapkido sparring that almost looked like MMA. It's like they had kicking, they had throwing, they even the Hapkido students in the video, they even did like arm bars and such. I was pretty excited. Wow, maybe I'm gonna learn that at my McDojang. But once I asked my teacher before I bought my sparring equipment. So the Hapkido sparring is different than the Taekwondo sparring. Am I correct? And she said, what? And then I described to her of the Hapkido sparring that I saw on YouTube. And her and some of the other instructors told me, oh no, that's street fighting. That's MMA. It's too dangerous. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, what the hell? Okay, I'm starting to sound like a sucker, you guys, but I was pretty I was pretty forgiving, and I was pretty forgiving to this school. I already spent a lot of money, and I was thinking maybe I should just get the best out of this school while I'm still in my 1-year contract, and get out, or maybe give them another chance, but the next contract. I don't know. It's like this wasn't really like anything at the Ink Family Martial Arts Association anymore. And once it was my first sparring match, it was a total disaster. Well, what made my sparring match a disaster, guys, like I didn't know any footwork, and the my head instructor, she'll try to teach us the footwork at the same day we were supposed to spar, and we never learned any footwork during the other days of training. And I barely noticed, like at the Family Martial Arts Association, my old Kung Fu Kun, we did a lot of footwork drills, but at my McDojang, we didn't even do any footwork drills, except on the day we're supposed to spar. And The very first time I sparred, guys, it was a total disaster. I did very terribly, and I didn't know what to do. I tried to do some kicks, but my opponents, they were not color belts. They were the black belts, the teenage black belts in there. And there was this one particular teenage black belt. Okay, he threw a lot of kicks at me and hit me. But every time he does a spinning kick, he seems to trip. And we also, the head instructor and the other instructors, encouraged me to do the spinning back kick. And when I did, I did it at the same time as my black belt opponent did, and we ended up crashing each other, which was pretty cringy now that I remember it. And at that time, I thought maybe my black belt opponent, okay, he was going easy on me. But later on, once time passed, we were doing kicking drills one time, and that same black belt student, well, actually he was a junior instructor, but okay, we were doing the kicking drills, and we were trying to do the spinning back kick on the target, on the freestanding target. And when it was his turn, once he did his spinning back kick, he tripped sometimes. And I was thinking to myself, aren't black belts? I was thinking, no, actually, black belts should never trip when they're trying to do a kick. They should never fall or trip when they're doing a kick. Well, why is this guy falling? And again, I rationalized this is not easy. But boy, was I a sucker. And I went with through many weeks. We could only spar once a week. That was probably another sign of McDojang. But we could only spar once a week, and unfortunately, I didn't feel like I was improving once I became a green belt. That's the belt level that I stopped. And when I was a green belt, I was pretty disappointed with my performance again. I couldn't do any kicking combos. I got hit a lot. I got dominated by these kid black belts. It was pretty discouraging. And some of these kid black belts, okay, I'll say some of them are talented, but there's some that I can't look up to. And kind of ironic is that I asked one of the instructors, well, why am I not getting better? I should be getting better. I'm already a green belt, and I still feel like I'm not improving since I was an orange belt, and the instructor told me, oh, you'll get better once you become a blue belt. And that's when I started researching. I started practicing my combos at home, a lot. And that's when I went to YouTube to research, Taekwondo sparring. I was watching, some of the videos made by Kwang Kicker, Alex Wong, and others, and I was taking notes, and then that's when I seen McDojo Chronicles for the first time, and it actually woke me up. Once I started watching some of the sparring, it was pretty hilarious. I was laughing out loud, but it was very, very sad at the same time, because some of that sparring that the McDojo Chronicles was showing was very similar to the sparring at my McDojang. And let me tell you guys this also, there was these other lady black belts. No, there was actually these female students. No, actually, there was one female student. There was this a small Indian woman. She was almost getting ready to become a black belt, and once we were doing kicking drills, she didn't even kick better than I did, which at the time I was an orange belt. I mean, she couldn't kick higher above her waist level, and that was pretty sad. And also, let me tell you this: the biggest disservice that my McDojang was doing were were the moms of these moms of the kid students that attended the McDojang. You know, sometimes the parents actually join, you know, become students themselves at my McDojang, and the biggest disservice being done were the moms over there, especially the ones that were learning Hapkido. And you know, when I see them training Hapkido, they didn't know what they were doing, and you know, they were just throwing each other around with no technique, and they were having fun. But as I was staring at them, well, you know, they weren't even attempting to do their Hapkido techniques correctly. Well, compared to me, anyway. So you know, that's when my head instructor noticed, and then she started walking towards them and corrected them. It's like she didn't really care at that point until I started staring at the mom's training, and I didn't feel that my head instructor even cared about, you know, about the quality of the training that she was supposed to give us. And that's when later I learned, you know, after seeing so many videos of McDojo Chronicles, that's why, you know, I became like, you know, devastated, a little depressed, and I didn't attend my McDojang for 3 weeks because of that. I learned the truth, and you know, I felt really stupid. You know, there was so many signs, there was so many like instances that I felt I should have quit the school right away. But unfortunately, I was stuck with a contract. Yeah, man. Yeah, pretty devastated. I was very disappointed, and I really wanted to learn Hapkido. You know, it was one of my personal martial arts to try out, and fortunately, the experience at my McDojang was, you know, it kind of soured. Yeah, man, I don't know how to describe it. I started to realize that, you know, my head instructor and the owner of the franchise, you know, they were just making money out of me. I spent so much money on the sparring equipment and, you know, the belt testing fees and such. You know, I even bought a school shirt that cost me what, $20. You know, I was keeping track of everything, you know, all the costs, and I paid I paid a lot of money for the 1 year tuition, and you know, it kind of devastated me, and I didn't feel like, you know, going on. I only spent a half a year at my McDojang, and I was already a green belt, and I can't continue like this. You know, it saddened me. So what I did was also, let me tell you guys this, just to show that the school was all about making money. They had one event one time called the King and Queen of Board Breaking, and they were charging what, $40, $50, $60, depending on the amount of boards you want to break. They were charging you money to break lumber, and at one time, I look at the back closet of my McDojang, and they had like a whole stash of, you know, these boards. They had a whole stash of boards, and they're trying to make more money out of us. You know, I felt like, and you know, my head instructor, she tried hard, you know, to motivate us to go. And I was thinking at that time, you know, oh my God, this is a money making scheme. But you know, I was such a huge sucker, man. You know, I was very forgiving, just because, you know, the people over there, they were very nice. You know, the students were nice. You know, the kids students were nice. The adult students were also nice. But my instructor was nice, except for that instance that she got very annoyed, which kind of disturbed me. So I couldn't continue on this way, and I would like to thank McDojo Chronicles for waking me up. Because if it wasn't for his videos, I would still be in my McDojang right now, probably already a black belt, and probably still spar the same way that I started. Because, you know, the black belt, some of the black belts at my McDojang, they sparred the same way as the black belts that was featured in the McDojo Chronicles. Okay, there was this one black belt instructor who was like a teenager, and he was pretty skilled, but he was the favorite of my head instructor. And another thing that I didn't like about my McDojang was that sometimes I see these teenage black belt instructors argue with one another, and I thought this is not professional. So after the 3 week hiatus, I confronted my head instructor and told her in her office that her school was a low quality school. I'm not satisfied, the way things are being run, and that I wanted to break my contract. And she said, "Well, what are you talking about? What are you saying?" I kept telling her her school was a low quality school, and she started to get upset. And I told her, at my time, I overheard some of the older students saying that the school was more rigorous. They used to make the students, train harder. That they were doing at the time I was attending. And I asked her, was it true that they used to push the students harder? You used to train them harder than they are now. And she said yes. And that's when I left the door. Then a few weeks after, the franchise owner contacted me, and we were at my McDojang. We were talking about my dissatisfaction of his school, and I told him that he has a low quality school. That I also asked him this one final question: how old is the youngest black belt? And his answer was 7. And I told him, come on, man. And well, actually, that wasn't the final question. The final question was, I asked the franchise owner, how old were you when you got your first black belt? And his answer was 8, guys. And remember, this guy came from Korea. He attended Yongin University, and he earned his black belt when he was 8 years old. Either he's a genius, or maybe McDojangism. Well, okay, it's a made-up word. Whatever. The problem with the McDojangs have already affected Korea. So this guy was 40 years old, and he had received his black belt when he was 8. So the McDojang problem, the McDojo problem, has started in Korea, and probably the other countries of where the traditional martial arts come from. That probably started a very long time ago, and it kind of shocked me. I thought maybe in Korea they were more they took their martial arts more seriously. But if a kid was able to get a full-fledged black belt at such a young age, it's pretty much BS. But unlike most people that that learned that that they were training at a McDojo and that their martial arts they were trained as bullshido, I wasn't one of those people. I didn't bash Hapkido. I didn't bash Taekwondo. I still believe that there are legit Hapkido and Taekwondo instructors out there, but unfortunately, there weren't any at my McDojang. These people have sold out, and the franchise owner told me that he taught the Taekwondo and Hapkido the way he was taught in Korea. They were a bit more serious with their training, but unfortunately, he couldn't keep students that way, so he started to water down the training. This is what he revealed to me. I told him about, but there are some people that do want to take the martial arts training seriously. There are some serious martial artists among, people in this country, the U.S. And I told him, you know what, I don't want to go to your school. I don't like it. If I continue going, it's just going to make me upset. So I told him, I kept saying, I want to break the contract, but he wanted to refuse. That's when I finally said, okay, I don't want a full refund. Just give me what you can give me. He was supposed to give me half of the tuition because, I trained only there for 6 months and, wanted to quit. But he didn't give me the rest of the money that was supposed to be left over. So I took what I can. I just left, and and I felt like if I felt like an idiot for even going to that school. I should have followed. I should have done more research. I should have checked out other schools that was around my area, and which I did afterwards. And man, that's when I found my park district. It was very close to my house also, and they also offered martial arts training over there, but they charge way less than my McDojang. Once I found my park district, they offered judo, and they also offered two styles of karate, and they charge very little. And it made me feel more of an idiot for not going there first than my McDojang, because my McDojang had 5-star ratings, and my park district, the martial arts training wasn't really as advertised as my McDojang. I found out after receiving the catalogs of my park district, and when I was looking through, they offer martial arts. I felt like a freaking idiot, not going there first or doing more research. And in my research also, I later learned that all the other martial arts schools, they're mostly McDojos and McDojangs, guys. And the MMA schools, they charge a small fortune to attend there. And they're also kind of far away from where I live. But I was fortunate enough to find my park district, and I was really happy for it. I actually met people over there, the instructors. It's kind of funny, and I don't want to bring out the race card or anything, but my McDojang was run by Korean people, and they just ripped me off. But the instructors at my park district, they were teaching Japanese martial arts, and they were all Caucasian. They didn't earn any profit teaching at all. And also, what I learned is that in their system, okay, for my to karate, in karate, the instructors told me it'll take me between 5 to 6 years if I work hard to earn my black belt. 5 to 6 years minimum. And at my judo club, it'll take me about 7 years. And that just shows the quality of the martial arts in my park district compared to my McDojang. McDojang, guys, it was a black belt factory. That's what I learned. But I was glad to find these instructors in my park district, and I ended up taking all three classes that was offered in my park district. They offered judo, Shotokan karate, and Ishinryu karate. And I'm part of 3 different families in my park district. I did miss some of the people at my former McDojang, especially the old second degree black belt. He was the one that was training the Hapkido the way I felt that it should be trained. I didn't even get to say goodbye to him or the others, the other people that I was cool with at my McDojang. It was kind of sad. Now I would like to describe, some of my classes the classes I take in my park district. And I got to tell you guys, the 2 karate classes, we take our time doing our forms. We actually practice our footwork. We actually, take our time doing our forms, our katas, and also our basic striking. And the belt test takes about 6 months each instead of the 2 months at my McDojang. So I had a lot of time to perfect my stances, my basic striking, and my kata, and it made me feel more confident. And also, my judo class, I gotta say this, judo made me I felt that judo made me a better, stronger person. Especially, we were able to randori, in each class. Randori actually made me, feel more confident, stronger. And once I started, going to competition karate, it actually helped me. It helped me, become, not afraid of getting hit. In judo, sometimes in randori, you get thrown really hard, but I knew how to fall. And these hits I received in karate, that they can't could be compared to, okay, yeah, so some of the, I've been kicked in the face, I've been punched in the face, kicked in the face, in karate, but I can still take it on. I'm a pretty confident fighter in karate, and it was all thanks to judo. You know, judo pretty helped me become a better person. So and also karate. So I'm basically learning, striking and grappling in my park district. Probably less, what MMA schools are charging. That makes me, I'm pretty elated over that fact. So I'll give you guys some advice, based on my experience on my McDojang. If you guys want to look for a proper dojo or any traditional martial arts school, I would ask them how long does it take to get to earn a black belt in their system, especially with karate and taekwondo schools. If they say 2 years or less, it's a complete joke, and please leave that school. And also, if you see so many colored belts, especially the camo belts, or in most karate or even and taekwondo schools, they only got one deputy black belt. I mean, black belt level, which they come in different colors. Sometimes it'll be a red belt with a black stripe and such. Before you get your black belt. Yeah, that's so. Some legit schools only have one deputy level belt level before you get your black belt. But if you go to a school that has four deputy levels, it's such weird color combinations, leave that school. And also, guys, if you see if you see that over three-fourths of your whole school are black belts, that have a lot of children black belts, not junior black belts, but full-fledged black belts, leave that school. And if the school charges a lot of money and they're at a strip mall, leave that school also. That's another sign of them being a McDojo. And also, if you see their sparring, try to compare it to the sparring that they have, on YouTube. There's pretty good Olympic style Taekwondo sparring. That does take a lot of a lot of skills to be good at. But if you see sparring at like the ones in the McDojo Chronicles, guys, if you guys know anybody that goes to a McDojo, or if you're unsure that you're attending a McDojo, please look at the McDojo Chronicles sparring. If you see any sparring that is similar to that of the McDojo Chronicles at your karate or taekwondo school or whichever school, if you see sparring like that, get out. Please get out. And tell your friend who is attending a McDojo to get out. Show them the videos that McDojo Chronicles is making. Please, you're only gonna waste your time and money, which I did. Hell, I don't even remember any of my forms or any of my self-defense techniques in Hapkido anymore. That's how that's a low quality training I was receiving in my McDojo. I mean McDojang. Yeah, and also watch out for the people that instructors or owners of schools that supposedly know so many styles of martial arts. They have so many black belts, but it's all BS, guys. Well, one person can only have black belt like what, one or two, or at most three different martial arts, but you're not supposed to have like a whole list of different black belts. And yeah, and also watch out, guys, for guys that claim that they could teach MMA or kickboxing, but what they're really doing is Tai Bo. And there's a certain YouTuber that labels his stuff as Taekwondo, but supposedly it teaches it for MMA and kickboxing, but it's really cardio kickboxing, you guys, and that's why I'm pretty learning. And also, watch out for the guys who are, especially the ones that have supposedly has a traditional martial art background, that bashes MMA, that bashes, sport competition. But once you see the sparring at their own YouTube channels, it looks like a schoolyard slap fest. Yeah, watch out, guys. Remember, if you remember, guys, look at many different schools and pick the ones that you really like. You feel like you're gonna learn something. And another thing is, if you're going to your school, if you're attending your school and you feel like you haven't learned anything, or you haven't learned anything, or feel like it's a waste of time, guys, get out, please. And also avoid the contract schools above all. I know there are some MMA schools that do have contracts, but it could be justifiable since most MMA schools have these huge facilities. But some of the traditional martial arts schools, they operate in these really small spaces, located at strip malls, but they charge the same as an MMA school that has a huge facility. So yeah, watch out for that, guys. And hopefully so some of these tips might help you avoid training at a McDojo. Okay, guys, I'd like to end this video. If I recommend you guys to learn a martial art or try it at school, I highly recommend you guys to maybe start out training at judo. Judo, there's a lot of judo clubs out there. You can find a judo club and they're pretty affordable. Many jiu-jitsu clubs, they're part of MMA clubs and they charge a fortune compared to judo clubs. And judo, you could learn some of those, the same ground techniques in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but you're probably gonna focus more on the throws. But it's better than nothing. And judo will make you a tough person. And if you guys want to check out karate schools, if you want to see what good karate looks like, I highly recommend to check out Karate Culture, the channel. These guys showcase the applications of the forms, their kata, into fighting techniques. And also a lot of these katas they contain throws and other grappling techniques. And if also, I highly recommend you guys to watch Practical Combat Martial Arts. Sergio Paris is what a legit martial arts instructor should look like. And you guys, if you guys want to go look for a good karate school, a good taekwondo school, it's gonna be very hard, guys. In my area, I can't really say that there are good taekwondo schools because a lot of the taekwondo schools that I did research about in my area, they have the same characteristics as my former McDojang. And and good karate schools, they're hard to come by. But I would highly suggest, if you guys can, if you can't really afford martial arts, or either find a judo club. Judo clubs, they don't cost a lot of money, and or go look at your recreational center, your park districts. See if they are for martial arts classes. You'll find legit instructors in there. Who like to pass down their martial art at no profit. You just pay the park district or recreational center's fees. But the downside to that is that sometimes these instructors can only teach 1 or twice a week at the recreational center. So if you go to that route, which I do, please pay attention as much as you can from those instructors, and try to practice what they taught you at home as many times as you can. There's a YouTuber that I follow who teaches at a recreational center. His channel's name is Cecil Ryu Taekwondo, and he's a black belt in Taekwondo and Judo, and he is coming up with his own system that has Taekwondo at its base and also Judo, but he teaches a little bit of boxing and other stuff. And he has a lot of videos talking about about the martial arts. I highly recommend to check out that channel too. And also, I'd like to end this. You guys, just good luck finding good martial arts schools out there. Please avoid the McDojos, and please use the McDojo Chronicle videos as a reference. What a bad school should look like based on their sparring. And guys, stay safe, train safely, and please don't let your friends attend McDojos. See ya.